In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw a basic t-shirt body utilizing a grid, a shape tool, and then the pen and the pen editing tools. I'm going to set up a grid to use in the drawing, a t-shirt to scale using actual garment measurements. We're going to create a rectangle as our starting point, and then insert key anchor points as garment points for the t-shirt using the grid as a counting measure device. Then we will edit the points as necessary to achieve the right combination of straight and curved lines. So let's go to our preferences to begin with and set up our units. We will go to the Edit menu, all the way down to the very bottom of that, Preferences, and up to Units. Now that's the same list we just saw there on the flyout menu. But we want to set this at inches, make sure stroke is at points, and any of that. It should all be good. That was my default. You might have to change yours from points to inches. And then once we do this, we can also check out our guides and grid. Over here, cyan is one color. You can change it. That's what the graph or grid will look like. Cyan works for me. Yellow is very hard to see, and the light blue is going to come out being the same color as the default highlight on the first layer. So if you want, you can leave it there. And the grid, you can change different colors too. The other thing we want to make sure is that we are in actually 4 subdivisions, as so. The grid in black, or I'm sorry, grids in back. Okay, so this should be good. We'll click OK. Now let's create our new file after we've set our preferences. New. And waiting a moment for this to pop up. Go ahead and put your name in, and then call it a basic t-shirt. Okay, and all of that we can leave the same as default. Hit width and height, all the same. Click OK. And there is our file. We can choose to immediately save that so that as we work we're able to make quick saves. Go ahead and make sure your name is in the file name so I don't mix yours up with anyone else's. There we go. Now to turn on our grid, we will go to View, Show Grid. It's down here near the bottom, and there it is. It even extends past the edge of the paper onto our artboard. That's fine. Let's start by creating our rectangle shape and then setting some key points. Come over here and use your rectangle tool, and we will click once here somewhere in the middle of our screen and go ahead and set our rectangle at a width of 5 inches and a height of 6. Every subdivision of our grid excuse me, will represent 1 inch. And with this, we will have a quarter scale compared to a natural or a full-size garment. Now, using our selection tool, we're going to grab the middle mark on here of this, and we want to get it kind of on the center cross of the heavier guidelines. To be able to see that, you might need to change your fill to a nothing. I'm actually going to zoom in here so that you're able to see a little bit better. Looks like I'm pretty well connected to or centered on these darker lines. So now let's go ahead and begin to insert some anchor points. We're going to use our pen tool. We're going to want to use several different ones here. So go ahead and tear off the tool strip so we can get to it. And we will need to use the Add Anchor Point tool. Grab that one real quick. And we're going to insert some center points. I'm going to insert one at the center top and center bottom of the rectangle. These will represent the center front points of the t-shirt. So one right up here. And you can see a green guideline kind of show up so that we're centered over all that, and run right down there. Now let's insert some neck points. Insert a point 3.5 inches on either side of center front. Let me go ahead and zoom in here for you a little bit so that you can see my measurement of 3.5. Adding to that. So here was my center. Each one of these squares on my grid represents 1 inch. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then a half. That's on one side of center front and then one on the other. 2, 3, and a half. There we go. Now we can turn on Snap to Grid as we'll be working in even inches for our next few steps. All right, so actually I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And view, I'm going to go to Snap to Grid. This helps actually set some of these points much quicker and easier. Okay, let's see here. This time we're going to add one 2 inches in from each corner. This will be our shoulder seam at the armhole. And then 1.5 inches down from the top. Well, there's 4 in one heavier line subdivisions, and then one more at 5, another one over here at 5. Then we need one that needs to be 9 inches down from the top, so 9 squares. That's going to be down to here, and one up opposite right there. And we have all of our added points. Now we actually are going to delete a point at our corner. So use our delete anchor point, and we're going to delete this one corner and then this one corner. There we go. Now we need to move some of our points around. To move single points, you're going to use your direct select tool. Let's create prepare to create a rounded neckline. So let's lower our center front neck. Let's click on the center front one and drag it down 3 inches. So 1, 2, and 3. If you still have Snap to Grid, you'll see how that easily snaps one at a time. We also want each shoulder point to angle down 1 inch, and over here, this one 1 inch. I'm staying in line with the way it was on the grid. Now we need to create an inward curve for our armhole here. Well, we need to move this 2.5 inches, so we won't be able to do that with Snap to Grid on. So I'm going to go over here, click on Snap to Grid. It takes the check mark off of it. Now, making sure that I stay in direct line here, but in this one I got to eyeball where my half line, half point is, halfway mark between that square. Then the other side, 2 inches and then a half in. Alright, so now it's very kind of raw, hard corners. Now we need to convert them to curves, and we use our convert anchor point. Okay, now I'm going to click and drag off to the side. When the computer draws a shape, it draws it in a clockwise direction. So you will watch as I pull my direction lines on these, I always need to pull in a clockwise direction because that's the way it was drawn. So to create a nice rounded neckline, we're going to bring the Convert Anchor tool up here, click, and begin to start to drag. Okay, if I drag opposite, see how it crisscrosses the line. I'm still holding my button down and dragging, but you can see I might get it not symmetrical on both sides. But if I hold down my Shift key, it constrains it to pull my direction lines out even left and right, as well as then keeping it straight across there so I have a very symmetrical curve. I'm going to pull that to where I like it and let go, and then there's that curve. Now I need to do one on each of my armholes, and as I begin to click in on my right armhole, I need to drag down because that will be my clockwise direction for the shape. And I need to look at how many grid lines I pull down or over as I do this, or the easiest way is I begin to pull down and my opposite one should wind up at that corner. So, see, watching the top one, not where my cursor is, but the top one, once it meets that point up at the shoulder, I'm going to let go. Makes a nice curve here for this armhole. So this side, because it's on the opposite upswing of a clockwise direction for the rectangle shape having been drawn, and this time, instead of pulling down, see how it twists the line? I'm actually going to pull up and move up towards that point. When I let go, I have near symmetrical sides there. Okay, now I'm using my space bar for quickly holding this down. panning that up so that I can see the bottom part of my tank top. Now I need to add some points over about the waist line so I can kind of pull it in and shape it a little bit for a more of a female shape. So we're going to add the anchor point, and we need to insert these about halfway from here to there. So I'm going to go, I think, on this line here, and I'm going to pull it in. Oh, I'll have to do that with the direct select. So I just added those. Now I'm going to use my direct select tool and pull those in. Actually, if I want to keep it snapping to the grid to make it fast and easy, I just turn that on. It does have a keyboard shortcut, but I did not catch that right now. But I'm going to go back to my Convert Anchor Point tool. And again, the rules of the clockwise direction apply. So I'm going to click and shift to kind of constrain a little bit and drag downward and get that there. And my other one, because it's on the opposite side, I actually need to drag upwards, dragging the same distance out about 2 inches from that point, and holding the shift key down constrains it nicely. Now we're going to put a slight curve into the bottom of this tank top or t-shirt. I need to go back to my direct select tool to move that point. A on my keyboard is my hotkey for that, or shortcut, and I need to take off Snap to Grid because I only need to move it down about 1/2 inch. There we go, and I want to put a soft curve on that. Shift C converts as my keyboard command for converting back to the Convert Anchor Point tool. And on this one, I'm going to click and hold the shift key down to again constrain it and pull out slightly, about 3 inches or so. Let go of everything, and it gives it a nice curve. All right, now I'm going to just use keyboard shortcut V, like in Valentine. Takes me to my my selection tool. And actually, I'm going to go Z for zoom and hit my Alt key and one click to zoom out. And you should have a t-shirt that looks like this when done. If you'd like, you can continue to edit any points if you don't like how they look, but that's what we're aiming for. Use my selection tool. I'm going to select the entire object, and at this point I can fill it with a color of my choosing. I'm going to put soft purple. How about that? And click away from it. There we go. That is your basic t-shirt body. In my next tutorial video, I'll show you how to add a sleeve onto it and build a collar for it as well. If you'd like, you can also type your name onto the page just so that, again, you're assured that I make sure I know whose file I am looking at. So you can do something like that, or basic t-shirt, even name it. You can have fun with it. You could even come and put that name on your t-shirt if you wanted to as well. And make it bigger. How about that? Bingo. All right, I am about out of time, so I'm going to sign off here. Have fun doing that. If you have any problems, just back up in the video, watch it again, or give me a ring, and I'll be happy to help you through with this process. Don't forget to save. There we go. We're done.